Good morning. I'm glad to be here. David wrote the next song too at the end. A couple of weeks ago, I came back from a Vipassana course, 10-day meditation course. Has anybody here ever done the 10-day Vipassana meditation course? It's hard, isn't it? Yeah. This was my 6th one, and I'm not bragging. I know, I'm fancy, but I'm not bragging. And my first one was the hardest. It was like quitting smoking. It was every bit as hard as quitting smoking. And they're always different. About every couple of years, every time I've ever gone, except for this time, I've always said, never again. I will never do that again. And this one, I'm thinking, at the end, I thought, I might do this next year or the year after. Maybe I'll go and serve next time instead of just sitting. And Vipassana is a Buddhist meditation. And it's not a retreat that you go to. It is a course of meditation. And I'm not here today to teach Vipassana. I'm not qualified. I'm not here to teach Buddhism. I'm here to share my experience with what happened. Because Buddhism is not a religion, in case anybody didn't know. Unity is not a religion, in case you didn't know. Yes, somebody knows. And so unity is a spiritual philosophy for positive living, as I like to add to that. And Buddhism is a practice for knowing one's being. And the first time I ever heard about it, a friend of David's was at the house. And this woman had just done this. And this was like 2012, I think it was. And I heard about it, and I thought, 10 days of silence. That's for me. I knew, as most people say, I could never do that. And I knew I could do it so well. And I couldn't wait to do it. And so I looked it up. There's an ashram up in Massachusetts. I hear there's one in Georgia as well. I think Jessup, Dale said. But the one up in Massachusetts is quite lovely, quite frankly. And it's a little rustic, but it's still nice. And so I looked it up, and you got to sign up about 6 months in advance to be able to get a space. As hard as it is, it's very popular. And it's crazy. But the point of it is to eradicate all craving, all aversion, and all ignorance. And in order to do that, you sign up for certain strictures, we'll call them. Rules, what are they really but guidelines for living well, hopefully. And what you agree to is that you will not kill any living thing. And I thought, okay, I guess I can do that. Okay, and it doesn't just mean people then. I thought bugs. Because they used to have tents and cabins there, as well as a limited selection of rooms. Now it's all rooms. They've added on. And I was very clear up front. I said, I'm going to have to stay inside. If I can't kill any living thing, I can't be outside. I can't be out in nature. I can't. I know myself. And so no killing anything, no reading, no writing, no music, no praying. So you can't journal because you're doing Vipassana. You're doing meditation. There's no cause for prayer. I know. How about that? And they wake you up at 4 in the morning every day. There's like somebody clanging a clanger to a gong. That's what it's called. To wake everybody up. And by 4:30, you're in Vipassana. You're in meditation. And the first night we are guided. You get there the first night on a Wednesday afternoon, really. And there's a small dinner, and they tell you everything while you can still talk. They explain what's going to happen, the basics, how it's going to work, and you meet the other people there. And it's 44 men on this side, and there's 44 women way over on the other side there. Everybody's segregated. The women in the meditation hall, we're all in one room, but still the women are on one side, men on the other. And so this was done for me my first time by some guy who, I think it was his 20th time doing it. And I knew he was on my side through this whole thing. I knew we would never talk, but I knew if something happened, I could go to him. And I don't know what he would do to protect me or save me or whatever, convince me to stay, but I knew he was willing that I complete this thing. And so I knew I had somebody on my side. So that's what I do now. When I get there, I find the new guys and I say, look, this was done for me, and I want you to know I'm on your side. And I'm willing that you complete this course. And we're not going to have happy gazes across the dining hall or at doorways or anything. We will never communicate. I won't meet you in the hallway with a smile. Won't be any of that. Just know I'm here, and know that if Shawn, can do this, you can too, because I'm not special. But if I could complete it. So, and I have found out from guys afterward a couple of times now. Shawn, one guy 2 times ago said, Shawn, did you look at me the other day and smile? And I said, not that I'm aware of. And he said, because that's what got me through. I was going to leave, and I looked at you, and I'm sure you looked. I said, I don't know, but yay. Yay, well, you made it. So, no killing, no sex, no reading, writing. There's Vipassana. there is Vipassana. And they...
No smells?
Oh, no, what do you mean no smells?
I mean, just if you couldn't bring perfume.
Oh, no fragrances. I thought you meant, I smelled lots of stuff. I thought, no breathing, no... First I thought, twice, something on my nose. I thought she's a helper. Yeah, no fragrances. Basically, don't bring distractions. Because you have your mind to distract you. You don't need anything else, any outside influences. Everyone I've ever met has come to visit me every time, dead and alive. They all come to say hello in the course of 10 days. So we go in that first night. And this year, 2 times ago, I heard the voice, because I have an internal voice. Anybody? Yeah, there's a voice that speaks to you and guides you. And the 2 times ago, the voice said, or 2 years ago, it said, go through this. Don't get through it. Because my first night, I'm looking at the last day. Thinking, okay, 10 days from now, I'm going to pack the car. I will do everything. But I heard go through it. And that got me peacefully through my first couple of days. This time, I heard be here now. And that was great. Be here now. So on Wednesday night, I wasn't planning Thursday. And on Thursday, I wasn't planning Friday and the last day. And this is the first time I didn't, because I have a little walking path. And the parking lot's right on the other side of this woodsy area. And my first few times, I would beep, beep my car fob just to make sure my car was there and it worked. Beep, 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 beep. And I knew I could leave at any time if I had to. If it got too hard, too crazy, I can leave. This time, it was a few days into it before beep, beep. I did. Don't we all? From any given day, don't we have an escape plan? For some of us, it's donuts. For some, from our feelings, our sensations, our pain. So, back to that. So, eradicate craving, aversion, and ignorance. They call it sankhara. And we create these cravings by way of focusing on our aversions. By focusing on what I don't like or what hurts, I begin to crave the sensations of trying to get rid of it. But what I end up doing is craving even more. We'll do it with resentments. I can get a good resentment. Anybody? Yeah, I know. And you think you're justified, and you think you know what you're talking about, and you don't. But it feels heightened. I'm more vital. I'm more alive with a good rage. And good offense. Who's hurt me now? And so, in that sankhara, but that first time I did it, because back then I sat on a floor all day. I can't do that anymore. I sit on a chair. That's hence this. Usually I'm much more dressed up than this on a Sunday morning and stuff, but I felt casual for what I'm talking about and sitting on a chair. So on the beginning, I'm sitting on the floor on a little stool. They give you a pillow. They have other pillows you can use. And it's like, oh, okay, now I'm settled. Oh, my back. Oh, okay, so my butt. Oh, my legs. When you think. And what I discovered a few days into that first time is I have a great aversion to discomfort. And then I discovered I have a great craving for comfort. And it is my ignorance that thinks if I could just get comfortable, I won't be uncomfortable. So what that tells me in my mind, I'm focused on the physical, not the spiritual. I'm focused on how do I get this flesh comfortable, and I never will. People are sitting there and, we're adjusting the neck and everything because we have sensations going on we're not even paying attention to. And so I thought, it's my ignorance. And I thought, now I have this down. Well, you can make an appointment with the assistant teacher. The main teacher is on video every day and on audio. But you can make an appointment with the assistant teacher. There's one for the men on a box up the front there, one for women up in the box in the front there. And I made it a lunchtime appointment for a brief visit with the assistant teacher, as you can do. The only time you're allowed to talk. And so I got that. I went in and I sat down on the floor. And I said, I think I understand this. If you just, the craving, aversion, what I just explained to you. And I said, what do you think? And he said, why don't you just keep doing Vipassana, Shawn? And that was the end of my interview. He was not there for a philosophy. He was not there to complete my loneliness or to undo my loneliness, because that's really why I made the appointment. I was lonely. In all that quiet, I got lonely. And all those invisible people's visits, I got lonely. So I made the appointment to visit with him. And then when I found out, boy, it's not a big payoff here in this appointment. He didn't ease my loneliness, but he was wise. I got wisdom, which is just do Vipassana. That's what you're here for. Just be. And keep doing this and find out what it is. Nobody is going to solve this for me intellectually. Sometimes, I just retired from my church last year, 19 years. And every now and then I'd hear someone say, well, Shawn, I'm really not being spiritually fed. And I think you're not being as entertained today. You're not getting intellectual stimulation. Some people are professional students. They want to study all the time. But to be a practitioner, that kicks in our stuff. And unity is one of the hardest of all. It seems easy on the surface, doesn't it? You come in, oh my goodness, unity is amazing. They don't want anything from me. They just tell me I'm good and God loves me and I love it. And then some itchiness occurs. And then ministers like us and teachers and the spiritual licensed teachers say, well, there's more to it than that. If you really want the freedom that we offer, if you want the health and well-being. How many of you know the story of Myrtle Fillmore and her healing? Okay, Myrtle Fillmore, Unity's co-founder, she was diagnosed with tuberculosis in 1886. And she didn't care for that diagnosis, but what was she supposed to do? She was given 4 months to live. And she went to other doctors, and they all said, you're going to die. And she said, I don't believe it. There's got to be more. And then she heard a teacher one night, E.B. Weeks in Kansas City, say, I'm a child of God, therefore I do not inherit sickness. And so she thought, that's right. You never read about God having a cold. God doesn't have hepatitis. God doesn't have this stuff. It's people. And so somebody guided her, and she went home. And she apologized to her body and for calling it sick. Once. She apologized once because anything more would imply guilt and would exacerbate the diagnosis rather than the wellness. And then for 2 years, she sat and she praised. She praised her cells. She praised her body. She praised because our cells hear us. They hear what we say. They hear our thoughts. And they have intelligence. And so they hear what we tell ourselves about ourselves. They hear our story, whether it's true or not. But it's kind of like if I come to you and say, boy, you look great today. And you go, oh, thank you very much. But if I come to somebody and say, you feeling okay? So, what's wrong? I thought I was okay. Why did he say that? So Myrtle didn't ask others' opinions. She told herself she was well. And she had a couple of lumps in the middle of that where she had to get well, and she prayed to hear the voice, the guidance. One time she was getting pneumonia. Her lungs were filling up. And she said, what am I supposed to do here? I can't lift my children. I can't. And they said, open up all the windows to your house and clean it from top to bottom. And she said, but I'm sick. Open up all the windows and clean your house from top to bottom. And she did, because why pray if you're not going to listen? If you're not going to get a solid response, and an insane one, like open up all the windows and clean your house, why, do it. So she did, and by the end of the day, she had perspired all of that out of her system. And she, the flu was gone. She could breathe again, and she went on about her business of every day affirming health and well-being in every cell, every tissue, every fiber of her being. Now, I have a good friend. His name's Gary. And he, many years ago, he was diagnosed with HIV. And he had been an actor for many years, and then he felt really way low. And then during his getting well from alcoholism and drug addiction, he got HIV. And the day he told me, I was his mentor at the time, and he said, he said, I've got HIV. And I said, oh, well, congratulations. Because a lot of times I say things like that because it means you get an opportunity to prove healing is possible. And he laughed, because he knows me well enough, but by the end of the day, he was upset with me. He said, my other friends have been a lot more sympathetic than you have. And I said, you're right, and your friends will love you to death, but I want you to live. I want you to live. You're my friend, and I want you here. So let's laugh about this. And then I got him Myrtle Fillmore's books, How to Let God Help You and Healing Letters, Emily Cady's Lessons in Truth, and he read them. And he didn't really want to come to Unity. He went to St. John the Divine. He liked all the pomp and smoke and stuff up there. But he loved these healing stories. And so he began a business called Mr. Clean Queen. And he started cleaning people's houses. He got paid to go in, and he got the ones that haven't cleaned in 20 years, and he would shovel them out of their apartment. And he would clean it so beautifully, they would hate him. The people that hired him hated him because they lost. The only place left for self-loathing was the mirror. They couldn't look around and say, oh, I live in a pigsty. There was no pigsty. What's left? Themselves. But he got well, and he shows no signs of HIV. And he has since become a working actor again, and he's traveled around, and now he's a recovery coach in Florida, and he lives they just made a documentary of his life and everything, and he's a fascinating guy, but it's because he changed his mind. He opened to something new, and that's why we do these things like Vipassana, why we go to India to study, why we do something unfamiliar to our daily practice. That's right. God is in the silence. I don't ask God for anything anymore. And I got that a couple of times at Vipassana. I stopped asking God. I realized when I use the word God, what I'm really doing, trying to get something. So I usually use the word love. Because love is the equivalent of God. But there's no materiality to it. And so that I find that a much more effective way for me to pray. So when I'm at the Vipassana place, though, and I can't pray, I didn't use love, I didn't use any of that. Now here's the hoop. About 5 days into the process, my mind started to spiral, because it will do that if you're quiet long enough. On your path to healing, you might go crazy. And I did. On Monday night, I started Wednesday, Monday night, I started to think about David at home, and I thought, I hope he's alive. We'd had a big leak when I left. We had friends over the weekend, but I knew they were gone by this point. What if David's dead and nobody can find out? What if something awful happened? One of our cats, something awful happened, but David doesn't want to call me and disturb me. What if? And my mind was really going there. So the solution was, on Tuesday morning after breakfast, I went right through the woods and got in my car, made a call. Used my cell phone, which you're not supposed to have. And I But it works. I kept it in the car, and it worked. And I called him 7 in the morning, and he answered. And he was fine. And I said, great, I'll talk to you Sunday. And I hung up the phone. And I went back up the hill. Now, I thought, I broke the rules. Now, I saw a few guys walking through that path down to the cars during the week. Because I could see from my bedroom. I could see right down there. And I laughed. I thought, that's where I learned, these rules are for guidance. They want us to succeed. It's not a police state at the ashram. They want us to succeed, and they know what we have to do to reach the highest. I knew what I had to do to end that distraction so I could get back to other distractions inside. Now, what I laugh about, and I didn't realize it until after I got back and I told this story, is I was willing to break the rule to go past the boundary, to go to my car, to use my cell phone, to talk, but I wouldn't pray. I wouldn't break the rules of no praying. And I thought, there's irony for you. I am a unity minister, and I refuse to pray during it, but I would break all the other rules. I'm surprised I didn't find a steak somewhere to eat. The stuff. Now I want to read this to you because I want to get it correct. It's an instruction we got. You're given it every time, and it says, take no notice. Take no notice. Take great care that your actions do not disturb anyone. And take no notice of distractions caused by others. There's a tough one. Keep one's mind inward, ignoring any inconveniences and distractions that one may encounter. There was a fellow that was placed next to me because we're assigned our eating places, our rooms. There's a pagoda with individual cells and things. And this guy seemed to be around me all the time. We weren't talking. He slurped his way through every meal. Breakfast and lunch. Slurped his way away. He snored in the pagoda cells. And he was usually late for the sittings. And then he would come in and twirl his blanket around him and flop down on his pillow. Hard not to notice that. And it was 3 days in before I heard, love him. Just love him. Take no notice, Shawn. Take no notice. He's not hurting you any. It's your story about him that is distracting you. Take no notice. Imagine walking down the street and we see sometimes things we don't like. We're in a restaurant, people don't have the best manners. Sometimes our friends don't call us back. When it says take no notice, it means don't take it personally. It's not about you, except what you tell yourself. It's the gift I keep getting from doing these things is, what everybody does isn't about me. What I think about it is. What I tell myself I should think, feel, say, or do. That's about me. And all it does really is distract me from my peace. Now, I get great learning lessons from all of it. From every bit of it. But in an event like this, what I have to go do is sit. I just have to go sit. There's nothing to be done. I forgot to tell you the hardest part, the part that scares everybody that I tell about this who hasn't done it. It's 4 o'clock, they wake us up. 6:30 is breakfast. Nice vegetarian. I had oatmeal and prunes and bananas every day. Delicious. Your next meal and your last meal of the day is at 11 a.m. I see. You're looking. I'm sorry. It's just too cruel. What are you doing to yourself? And it was a delicious vegetarian meal every day. And I'm not a vegetarian except when I'm there, but I eat vegetables. And they would make great stuff, these servers, these volunteers. Everybody's a volunteer. The teachers are volunteers. And this great meal, 11 o'clock, done by 11:30. And Oh, you get tea at 5 o'clock. I forgot to mention. At 5 o'clock, you can have tea, and if you're a new student, you may have a piece of fruit. Old students, just the tea. I was never hungry. I was never, in fact, the main teacher said, try to keep your stomach just 3/4 full. Don't try to fill up. The best day was macaroni and cheese day. That was my favorite day. The Mung Dao was not my favorite day. Oh, what that does to your body. It's cruel. And, but with every day, there's things to pay attention to. Oh, show up on time. Be present. Do not be a distraction, no matter how much of a distraction others are. That's asking a lot of us. Especially, anybody here like to be right? It'll kill you. That being right will wreck your day. And happy is a choice. It's not a goal. And so what I learned through this process, God is in the silence. Love is in the silence. Peace is in the silence. And there's nothing to be done to attain it. There's not one single thing to be done. It's here. It's part of life. It's natural. Love is natural. I don't have to earn it. I don't have to buy it. Love just is. Peace just is if I open my eyes to experience it. Joy, it's innate within us. Free, I'm already free. I am, and that's hard to believe, isn't it, sometimes? But I have to think this. This person's doing this. I see these headlines. I see the news. I have to be thinking this. I should be thinking this and saying this. And it's like, well, rethink that. Get quiet for a minute and ask the highest voice. What I say is, Spirit, tell me what to think about this, so that I can get something closer to a true thought instead of my story. And when I say a true thought, what I mean is, to me, truth is that which has no opposite. And so if anything you think is true, if it could have an opposite, it's not the truth. To me, God is truth. My understanding of God is not. Love is truth, but my understanding of love is not. And love comes in many forms and can be used and misused. And so to pay attention to all that, as can God. You remember, we're making so much up, including the word God. But to look at all that and say, okay, only truth is true. Go with that. That was the big relief for me. Some people hate statements like that. What do you mean only truth is true? And to me that meant, oh, whatever isn't truth isn't true. I don't have to find out what that is. I can just know it'll show itself to me on my journey today. With all these storms, with all this election stuff, with all these sides and all this, just the sky and the ground is hard enough. The way somebody looks at me in the store is hard enough because I've decided what they mean with that, with the way they look at me. I'm making it up. Don't do anything. Just sit there. Don't do anything. That doesn't mean a passive life. But it doesn't mean I got to run and do something to assuage. I don't have to run and eat something to assuage. I don't have to be. You'll be guided when to move. You'll be guided when to do something. You'll be guided as to what feeling is just a sensation. David Friedman here is going to talk this afternoon. And the thought exchange, who's experienced David's thought exchange workshops before? Anybody? Oh, you have to stay. You just have to stay. Do you want to say anything?
Well, in light of what Shawn has just talked about, we kind of know, it's a unity principle. Think positive, and you'll have a positive life. And I began to explore, yeah, that's true. How come we have so much trouble doing it so often? And what I realized is that if we have had some sort of trauma with a positive thought, like let's say you were young and you said, I can do this, and someone slapped you across the face and said, no, you can't, then you quickly learn that the thought, I can do this, is going to create difficulty, and you get an uncomfortable sensation when you take on the thought, I can do this. And so you learn to take on, I don't call it a negative thought, I call it a protective thought. I can't do this, to avoid that uncomfortable sensation. So throughout life, whenever we say, I can do this, if that happened, we may feel an uncomfortable sensation. So what I work with is, those sensations don't mean anything, they come with it. So take the positive thought and be with the sensations that come with that, and then we are capable of holding that positive thought and seeing the results. So I teach the principles, and then you bring your issues where you notice that you're stuck in a protective thought, where you're not seeing what you want, since another feature is there's nothing going on in the world. It's all going on inside of us. So we work with our thought, our sensation, and what we see in the mirror of the world, which we're really seeing in us. So come and bring your issues. Nobody has to talk if you don't want to, but you get as much out of it whether you talk or not. But bring your stuff, I'll teach it, and then we'll exchange thoughts, be with our sensations, and watch our lives shift. So that's
beautiful.
This afternoon.
So, joy is natural, innate within us. Peace is innate within us. Love is innate within us. Insist that everywhere you look, you see love. Insist. Through this door is love. Through that door is love. Through that door is love. Only love is in this room. Only peace and joy is in here. And I'm willing to know it. Take no notice of what they are doing. Anybody who's hurting anybody is just confused. That's all hurting is. Pray. Pray now. When I say pray, affirm joy for all beings, in all beings. And here's why. Joy-filled people don't hurt other people. Let there be peace in earth, as Charles Fillmore says, and let it begin with me. I'm not telling you I do this all the time, but I need help. I need your help so I can get on board with it all the time, just so you can get on board with it all the time. Let it begin in me and with me so that I become willing that all those people I'm afraid of, all those people I'm mad at, all those people I don't understand, may be joy-filled. And I may be joy-filled alongside them as I sit here listening for the next instruction. Thank you.